chapel stood on hollow ground, where crooked crosses face the town. Moonlight bled through splintered wood, like broken grace where sinners stood. My coat was torn, my hands were bruised, from roads of loss and nights abused. Whiskey stains and dried up blood still mark the trail where I had stood. A black veil hung beside the door for souls that wouldn't walk no more. I pulled it down and wrapped it tight, like wearing all my wrongs that night. Black veil prayer beneath the moon, sing for me before I'm gone too soon. Lord, I've carried sins like iron stone, through empty bars and roads alone. If mercy waits where shadows crawl, hear my name through chapel walls, before the grave lays claim to me. Set my spirit free tonight. I lit a candle, watched it shake like all the vows I failed to make. The Bible lay with dust and tears like it had waited all these years. I spoke of greed, of lies, of rage, of cards and debts and iron chains, of every grave my choices made, and all the souls I left betrayed. The bells ring low beyond the hill, the midnight wind turned sharp and still, and through the cracks I swore I heard the dead men speak without a word. Black veil prayer in endless night, begging God to make me right. Lord, I've worn this guilt like rusted steel, and every scar still cuts me deep. If grace still burns beyond the dark, light a fire inside my heart before I fade like smoke and rain. Wash away this blackened stain. I laid my head beside the cross, counted everything I lost. The candle flared, then burned down slow, like time was all I had to owe. Black veil prayer, cold and true. The moon still watched the night shine through. No dawn came breaking, no sunlight rose, just quiet mercy no one knows. No devil's hand, no graveyard call could keep me chained beyond these walls. that old shack down the county line. Moonlight slipped through the broken boards like heaven knocking at my door. My hands still shook from the cards I played, from whiskey debts and graves I made. A rusted lamp burned faint and low, like the last bit of hope I'd ever known. Outside the wind dragged through the plains, rattling fences like iron chains, and every creak in the timber frame sounded like someone calling my name. Dust on the Bible, blood on my hands, a broken man on cursed land. Lord, I've wandered far from grace, with sin and sorrow on my face. If mercy still can find me here, past all these years of pain and fear, lift this burden from my soul before the darkness takes me whole. I turned those pages one by one, like counting wounds I couldn't outrun. Words my mama used to read, back when I still knew what I believed. Her voice came back through the midnight air, soft like prayer, sharp like despair. She said, son, the road ain't done till the Lord decides you'll run. Then outside the chapel bell rang slow, though miles away through dust and stone. And in that sound I felt the weight of every sin and twist of fate. Dust on the Bible, tears in the dark, a cold dead fire, a fading spark. Lord, I've carried hate too long, and every step's been leading wrong. If grace still waits beyond my shame, call me back and speak my name before I'm buried by my past. Save this soul at last. I dropped that bottle on the floor, didn't need its burn no more. The glass broke hard like all my lies, and silence filled the hollow night. Dust on the Bible, washed by tears. After all these wasted years, the moon still burned above the land, but peace came down through these worn hands. No grave, no dead, no devil's chain could drag me through that dark again. Stood still on the ridge that night, tall as graves in pale moonlight. Dust on my coat, mud on my jeans, carrying weight from broken dreams. That old dirt road knew every lie, Every curse I threw at the sky, every bottle I broke in rage, every debt I never paid. At the edge of the woods by a rusted sign was the place where I buried mine. A sack of silver, a stolen ring, and all the shame that greed could bring. Sin beneath the pines runs deep, buried where the dead roots sleep. Lord, I hid my hands beneath the dirt, but the truth still drags and burns. If mercy walks these hollow trees, come cut me loose and set me free before the dark comes calling in. Wash away this buried sin. Ground with a shaking hand, cold black soil like cursed sand. The moon looked sharp through broken limbs, like heaven watching all my sins. I found that sack still tied in rope, heavy as guilt, empty of hope. The silver gleamed like serpent skin, a shine that pulled me back again. Then church bells rang from far away, like a warning through the darkened plains. And in the wind I heard my name, like my mama speaking through the rain. Sin beneath the pines still breathe, wrapped in roots and buried grief. Lord, I've walked too far in crooked ways, through whiskey nights and lawless days. If grace still waits beyond my shame, call me back and stake your claim before the earth takes all I've been. Save me from this buried sin. I threw that silver in the fire pit, watched the flames consume all of it. The smoke climbed high through moonlit black, and I knew there was no turning back. The pines turned to ash, like broken ghosts from a shattered past. The moon stayed cold, the night stayed long, but I could feel where I belong. No devil's coin, no outlaw gold could buy the soul I almost sold. Dust blew hard through the chapel cracks, carried old sins and brought them back. Moonlight hung on splintered wood, like faded grace where I once stood. My coat was torn, my boots were stained From whiskey spills and outlaw games, a pocket watch had long gone dead. Like all the vows inside my chest, the altar stood in candle smoke. Beneath the weight of prayers once spoke, I laid my Bible on that stone, like bringing home what I had known. Ashes by the altar, cold and gray, like all the debts I couldn't pay. Lord, I've carried fire in my veins and dragged my soul through dust and pain. If mercy still can reach this far, past broken hearts and barroom scars, before the dark pulls me below, let these ashes be all I owe. Heard the wind through hollow pines, like whispered hymns from buried time. Each splintered pew held ghostly stains of broken vows and sacred names. I spoke out loud of all my crimes, the crooked deals, the wasted nights, the blood I spilled, the trust I burned, and every lesson never learned. The church bell rang through midnight black, like judgment knocking at my back. And in the flame I saw my past turn into smoke and drift at last. Ashes by the altar, black as rain, falling soft through all my shame. Lord, I've worn this guilt like iron rust, till all I touched turned back to dust. If grace still lives inside these walls, hear my voice when darkness calls. Before my bones are claimed by stone, don't leave this sinner here alone. I burn the letters, burn the lies, watch them fade before my eyes. The candle shook, the shadows danced, like heaven gave one final chance. Ashes by the altar, drifting low, like all the pain I used to know. The moon still burned above the land, but peace fell soft on these warm hands. No grave, no ghost, no outlaw sin could pull me to that dark again. Still swayed in the midnight breeze, above old boards and dying trees. Dust blew low through the empty square, like dead men's prayers still hanging there. I walked alone with my hair pulled low, past the place where they let him go. My brother swung for a crime I knew, and I kept silent like cowards do. The whiskey burned like rusted nails, while moonlight washed the county rails. That gallows wood still called my name, like guilt had carved it in the grain. Midnight on the gallows, hear me cry, Lord, I've lived too long beneath this lie. I let blood fall and truth grow cold, and sold my soul for fear and gold. If mercy still can reach this town, lift this sinner from the ground before that road comes down for me. Set my soul and conscience free. Spoke, but I ran away. Left that town in black disgrace. Played my cards in outlaw bars, beneath dead moons and prison stars. But every road bent back to here, to that hanging rope. And all my fear, I hear his voice in the midnight wind. Brother, don't let this be the end. The church bell rang from the hilltop stone, a sound that chilled me to the bone. And in that toll I felt the truth, the noose had waited for me too. Midnight on the gallows, black and still, echoes run across the hill. Lord, I carried silence like a blade. Let my brother bear my shame. If grace still burns in endless night, guide my feet toward what is right, before the earth takes all I am. Forgive the blood upon my hands. I dropped my bottle in the dirt, watched it break beside that earth, and carved his name into that wood, and wept there where the gallows stood. Midnight on the gallows passed me by. The moon still watched that endless sky. No rope came down, no judgment call, just mercy moving through it all. No fear, no lie, no ghost I knew could keep me from speaking the truth. trees, cold as sorrow, sharp as grief. Dust rolls up from broken broken ground, like ghosts still drifting all around. I walked alone through that graveyard path, with dirt on my hands and whiskey glass. Moonlight carved through crooked stone, like judgment calling me back home. There was a grave with no man's name, just withered wood and rusted chains. That hollow pit I used to know, the place where all my sins still grow. The hollow grave keeps calling me, like a death carved in memory. Lord, I buried truth beneath my pride, and let the dark live deep inside. If mercy waits beyond this pain, wash me clean like midnight rain, before that hole becomes my bed. Save my soul from the hollow grave. I knelt down low by that empty ground, where all my lies were buried down. A silver ring, a bloodstained card, and letters burned and torn apart. The cold earth held what I once hid, every vow I broke and what I did. The whiskey spilled into the dirt, like pouring out my shame and hurt. Then chapel bells rang through the black, like heaven calling a sinner back. And through the pines the shadows swayed, like all the dead I'd ever made. The hollow grave still calls my name, through every scar and every shame. Lord, I walked too long with iron chains, through outlaw roads and bitter rain. If grace still shines where lost men crawl, hear me now before I fall, before my bones turn cold and still. Save me from this grave I fill. I dropped my head beside that cross, counted all that I had lost. The wind stood still, the moon burned white, and I broke apart that endless night. Remains no broken vow, the moon still hung above that land, but peace returned to these warm hands. No devil's chain, no ghost I knew could drag me back where sorrow grew. Dust rolls slow through the graveyard gate, like old regrets I couldn't shake. Moonlight hung on crooked pine and cast long shadows over time. My coat was torn, my hat sat low, boot heels dragging through the cold dirt road. In my hand a letter burned from all the lessons never learned. The town slept deep behind locked doors, while I counted sins and old lost wars. Each step I took felt hard and thin, like walking back through where I'd been. Mercy in the dust, can you hear me now? A broken man with a heavy vow. Lord, I've chased dark roads and bitter gold, and left my heart out in the cold. If grace still breathes through midnight wind, pull me back where light begins, before this grave takes all I've known. Don't leave me in this dust alone. I reached the chapel by the hill. Candles flickered, the air stood still. The Bible lay where dust had grown, like truth that waited all alone. I read the words with trembling hands about forgiveness and promised lands, but every line cut deep like knives through all my wasted, crooked life. Outside the bells rang slow and low, like ghosts of all I used to know. And in that sound I heard the weight of every wound and twist of fate. Mercy in the dust, fall on me, like rain on dead and broken trees. Lord, I've worn this shame like rusted steel, and every scar still cuts me deep. If mercy still can find this man, take these sins from these worn hands, before the dark drags me below. Lead me where the lost souls go. I burned that letter at the cross, watched old pain turn into loss. The smoke rose up through moonlit skies, like all my truths and all my lies. Mercy in the dust, cold and near, was the only thing I felt that year. The moon stayed high, the night stayed black, but peace came drifting slowly back. No grave, no sin, no blood I bled could chain me to the life I led. like dust drifted down the trail, past broken fences, rusted nails. The moon hung thin above the pines, like a blade cut through the night. I wore my sins like a weathered coat, with a whiskey burning in my throat. That hollow road knew every lie, and every grave I left behind. At the end stood that chapel old, its wooden bones turned dark and cold. A crooked cross against the sky, like judgment waiting in the night. Chapel in the hollow, hear me now. I've been my back, but I won't bow. Lord, I've dragged these chains too far, through blackened fields and now lost scars. If there's mercy in the midnight rain, wash these hands of blood and pain before the dark comes calling home. Don't leave me in this hollow alone. Inside the walls, the candles shook, dust on the floor, an open book. My fingers traced those sacred lines, like searching truth I'd left behind. I spoke the names I couldn't say, the ones now sleeping in their graves. The cards I played, the debts I made, the crooked roads where I betrayed. Then through the cracks the cold wind cried, like all my ghosts were standing by. And every bell out in the dark struck like thunder in my heart. Chapel in the hollow, hear me now. I've been my back, but I won't bow. Lord, I've dragged these chains too far, through blackened fields and now lost scars. If there's mercy in the midnight rain, wash these hands of blood and pain before the dark comes calling home. Don't leave me in this hollow alone. I dropped my gun upon the floor, didn't want that life no more. The candle flame burned tall and still, like heaven watched from on the hill. Chapel in the hollow, cold and deep, held the vows I couldn't keep. The moon burned pale through broken glass and lit the shadows of my past. No devil's chain, no outlaw name could drag me back through sin.